All right, let's do this. Just getting a couple more things situated, but it looks like you guys are all checking in early. Awesome. Marie, I see you here. Trevor's here. Connie, good evening to you. Keith checks in from New York. Angie says it's been a long time. Don't you know it? I agree. It's been way too long. Good evening. Welcome to Wise Advice. It's been at least a month since we've done this. But so thank you guys for your patience. Got a pretty big update for you. Got a lot going on. So what we'll do, we'll kind of just spend half hour or so together, and I'll just kind of answer whatever questions you have. I'll give you the update and then come back to your questions after. It'll make it a little easier to flow. But Karen's here, Dawn is here. Good evening to you, Denise over on YouTube. So we're live on YouTube, live on Twitter, live on Facebook at the moment. Got all that. I remembered how to get all that stuff squared away. So I'm pretty impressed that I remembered to do that. So let's see who else is here. Michael Crow, good evening, sir. Lisa is here. Emma from Houston, good evening here. Mom's here. Terry from Vero Beach, good evening. Debbie's here. Becky from Colorado Springs. Rockford, Illinois checks in. Let's see, Tennessee. Debbie checks in. Man, a lot of you guys are, this is awesome. Mary, good evening from Glendale, Arizona. Dawn says, missed you. I missed you guys too. And I can't wait to give you the update because it's all exciting stuff. But man, I tell you, it is retiring from the military way harder than serving in the military. I can tell you that. And I don't mean it weirdly. Like I was obviously very glad to have served, but retirement's hard. Lots of paperwork and lots of processing and lots of appointments and lots of stuff up here that you're just not prepared for. So, you know, we're getting it done though. Robin checks in from Florida. Kentucky, Melissa checks in. Let's see who else I got. Wisconsin, Karen is here. Syracuse, Joanne, good evening to you. Betty's here. From Idaho, good evening to you. Nancy from Utah, Portland, Oregon. Annette checks in. Good evening to you. So let's see. Here's what I'm going to I put a post there. This is kind of what we're going to talk about. This is the list of this side. This is the list of all the things I'm going to run through. We're going to talk about what's called DoD Skills Bridge, the international tour, 28 June, 1 August, the Indie Ultimate Indie Workshops, Open House, the format of the podcast, and a studio update, and then, of course, wellness altogether. So we'll hit all that in no particular, well, in that order probably. And I did that so that I would remember what to go through. But let's see. So I want to get through the list here. Barbara, we've gone international. So Saskatchewan, is that how you pronounce it? Saskatchewan, Canada. Good evening to you. Colorado Springs, I got you. Pam, Virginia Beach. Leanne is here. Colette from Long Island. Man, I was just right there. Corey from Connecticut. Lee is here. Harper from Connecticut. Good evening to you as well. Let's see. Houston, another Houston. Joni's here. Good evening to you. Connie says it has been a while. Guys, I know. Colleen says good evening. Lee says, I have you in my ear daily. I re-listen to the episodes with my letters every day. Good for you, man. That's what's supposed to happen, right? There's 268 episodes, I think, so there's always something you can tune into. But I get it. We want something new, and but you're gonna like the update. I promise you that. Let's see who else we got. Jeanne from Oklahoma City. Janine, sorry, I got it. I'm used to Janine spelled Janine's way, Janine. So Jenean just confused me for a little bit. Joyce checks in from west of Ann Arbor. Good evening to you. Phoenix. Paige from Phoenix. Good evening to you. Soki, good evening to you. Diane, miss you so much. Maybe when I get back to New York, we'll have to plan something. A lot of you guys in New York said let's do something. So, yeah. Jennifer says, love catching you live. I love being live. It's my favorite part of this. But, trust me, had some things we had to take care of. You're going to like the update. I promise you that. And we'll get into that in just a little bit. I just want to kind of get through this list here. Yeah, Kathy says, at least I have to clear quarters, right? Exactly. I didn't even think of that, right? If I was retiring and separating and moving off base at the same time, would have been a whole different scenario. So, that would have been kind of crazy. Let's see. Lee says Saskatchewan. He pronounces it phonetically for me. Jody's here. Kala says he missed everyone. I gotcha. Cheryl, good evening to you. Connie says was having withdrawals. Me too. And then let's see. Melissa says I completed 8 weeks of Couch to 5K listening to the podcast. Very cool. So thanks for doing that. How's it feel? Feels awesome, right? Very cool. Congrats on that. So, all right. So here's what we'll do. I want to run through this list because it's a long list. I want to get that going so you guys know exactly what's going on. I think it's important to get through it. So I'll go through the list. As I go through it, if you have questions, pop them in. And then when I'm all done, I'll come back to them so that we can kind of together all get all the answers and kind of go from there. So cool? Make sense? I think it does. So I want to record this because I want to push part of this out as part of the episode. So I will go ahead and do that. So, okay, I'll get that done first. So Melissa on YouTube says, never done that before. So it was awesome. So, that's the coolest thing about the podcast really is it's really, with 268 episodes, every day you can, like Lee said, every day you can find something to listen to. Whatever you got going on, you have a little bit of motivation to keep you going. So, but Melissa, good job on actually putting the effort in. Just because there's a podcast to listen to doesn't mean you're going to get the work done, right? So you did it. How's that? I want you to take a moment and just how does that actually feel? And I know it feels awesome. So congratulations. Soak that in. You did that. Very cool. Very cool. All right. So here is, and they're probably out of order. So maybe I'll bounce around on this list. But this is the list we're going to hit. We're going to talk about. Let's go ahead and get this recorded at some point. So, all right. So we're officially recording it. So very good. All right. Are you ready for an update? Really? I'm ready. Janice says, good to see you from Bloomington over on YouTube. I don't know if anyone checked it on Twitter. It does not look like it. So the few people watching, but no one. Hi, Twitter. All right, so here we go. Update. As you know, active duty Air Force, 27 years, all coming to an end on August 1st, right? A couple of people have asked me about the difference between August 1st and June 28th, and I'm going to explain the difference between the two. So, first things first, August 1st is my official last day in the military for pay purposes, pay and benefits. I retire from active duty officially on 1 August. So that is my last day ever being a military member forever, ever, and ever, and ever, and ever again. Of course, then at that point, I'll be a retired military member. So that's what August, when you see that date floating around, that's what that means. That's my very last day in uniform. 28 June is the day that I've chosen to have my retirement ceremony. So think of it kind of like a justice of the peace wedding, right? So there's a wedding ceremony and then there's a wedding date, kind of, in some cases. So in this scenario, the ceremony is just that. It's a ceremony on 28 June. We do the formal thing, present the flag, present the letters from the president that says congratulations on your service, all that good stuff. That happens on 28 June. But for the whole month of July, I'm still getting paid by the Air Force, but I'm on leave and I'm on vacation. Is a term I'm going to use. I had enough vacation days saved up that I ended up taking the whole month of July off. So for pay purposes, August 1st. For actual ceremonial, it's June 28th. So you guys have known I put it on social media. If you go to fatdag.com, you will see a retirement countdown clock. That clock is to the ceremony. If you click on the clock, there's a Google form. You can let me know you want to come to the ceremony, and I'm going to push an email out this week so that you have some details as to what time, where, and all that good stuff. It's business casual or casual, so however you want to dress to attend is absolutely, you're welcome. But if you want to come to Indianapolis that weekend, you're in Indianapolis on 28 June at 1 o'clock. 1300 is 1 o'clock for those of you who don't know. So 28 June is the actual retirement ceremony. You're all welcome. Hope to see you there. Cool. Any questions on that? Between the difference between 28 June and 1 August, I know I get a lot of that going on. So in the meantime, so what has happened now, there's a program called DoD Skills Bridge. That's the top line here on this chart. It's called DoD, Department of Defense Skills Bridge. And what the military has understood and learned is that members separating from the military sometimes have a difficult time transitioning to civilian work. So they have allowed military members across the nation, if you are separating from the military and your commander approves it, you have the opportunity to go be an intern at any company that will take you on as an intern to train you, to teach you how to transition, to kind of get your feet wet. And so I applied at a couple different opportunities to be an intern. The one that panned out and of course made the most sense is with WW. So when I had the opportunity to present this to WW, I said, hey, the military will allow me to separate a little early, meaning not separate, but allow me to leave my office a little early. And so I can come up and be an intern and learn from you, teach you some things that I know, kind of learn from each other. So what happens is that came about rather quickly. So you saw my post a couple weeks ago where all of a sudden, boom, I packed up my office and off to New York I went. So that it happened about that quick. My command knew about it. I kept them up to speed the entire time. But I basically told them, I said, hey, there's going to be a day I'm going to walk in and say, hey, by the way, today's my last day. That happened about a week ago. So internship up in New York City. And so all I'm doing is I'm learning the inner workings of WW. I'm learning some management stuff. I'm learning some project management stuff. And just kind of really just we're working together just to kind of just help me transition out of the military. There's a couple of projects they got me working on that I can't share a lot of the details with because I don't even know all the details with, but I can tell you I'm learning an awful lot, and it's a whole lot of fun. So for the next 7 weeks, I am an intern with WW up in New York City. Some weeks I'll be remote, some weeks I'll be, depending on where I need to be, and then some weeks I'll be up in New York City. So for the next 7 weeks, the plan is to allow that transition to happen smooth. And then on 1 August, boom, officially out of the military on 1 August, and then look actively seeking employment and or taking this podcast to a whole new level and using this as the income revenue stream to fuel that. So that's DoD Skills Bridge. I can tell you, here's what I want to share about, I spent a week up in New York City. It's hard to describe how awesome that week was. And so here I am. I've been military for 27 years, right? And so I get to an organization that is a civilian-run organization. Within minutes of being in New York City, what I learned about WW as a company is that the culture of WW inside the corporate environment it's inspiring. It's enlightening. It is. You could see the heartbeat in every single person. Every person I sat down with and talked with, you could feel the energy. You could see the heartbeat. You could see the compassion. And one of the awesomest things was to spend a week there. I had meet and greets set up with a lot of individuals just to kind of say, hey, here I am. I'm new. I'm here for just 7 weeks. What can you teach me? What can I teach you? And I met with so many different people, and every single person I met, I was amazed. I was blown away. I was just pleasantly surprised by the culture of WW and the company of WW. I've been a coach now for 3 years, and I can tell you, I wish I had had the opportunity to visit that 3 years ago, because I'm more energized about WW as a company now than I've ever been. And as you know, I've been pretty energized from the start. So what I can tell you is that we as members clearly are in amazingly good hands when it comes to the corporation WW, the brand WW that functions, operates out of New York City. Of course, they're in San Francisco, they're in Bethpage, they're global, but we're clearly in amazing good hands. So that's what's happening for the next 7 weeks. What's cool is I do have the opportunity to work remote during some of that. So that gives me time to kind of build my schedule a little differently than I had before. But it also eats up some time in my calendar, which we're going to discuss as well. So yeah. So I got a lot of you guys are chiming in saying, wow, wonderful to hear. First class brand. Completely agree. I cannot put into words how energized I felt leaving New York City going, oh my goodness, this is an amazing corporation. And I'm telling you, I probably met easily, 12.5 people one-on-one for hours at a time. And it was just, every single person was truly in this so that you as a member can succeed. It was good to hear, because even I needed it as a member. The member side of me needed to see that. The coach side of me kind of got it, but the member side of me needed to be reassured that people here up in New York City understood the journey, and I can promise you, without a doubt, they do. So that's the deal. Now, okay, so that happens. So that's up until 1 August. So up until 1 August, I'm an intern for WW. 28 June, we talked about. 28 June is my retirement. 29 June, I did not put on the calendar here, but 29 June is the Indy Ultimate. So if you're coming for the Indy Ultimate and you get here that Friday before at 1 o'clock, you're welcome to come to my retirement ceremony. After the retirement ceremony, the following morning, the Indy Ultimate takes place. Now, the Indy Ultimate is a 5-mile race through the city of Indianapolis. Most of us walk it. And so if you can walk around Disney World, you certainly can do this. But you walk about a mile, then you walk into Lucas Oil Stadium, you kick a field goal. That's where the Colts play. You go about another mile, then you run the bases at Victory Field. You go about another mile, you go into Bankers Life Fieldhouse, and you shoot a basketball on the basketball court. You run up Monument Circle. You run through a lot of monuments. I haven't looked at the exact course for 2019 yet, but in the past, it's been an incredible event. So last I checked, there's probably 75 of you or so that have signed up to run in that or to participate in that with us. So we will be at the start line that morning. Whatever the start time, we're starting at 8:35 is the time slot I've chosen. So I will be there about an hour before. So look for the group. We'll all be wearing the same red shirt. So definitely hang out in there. So that's the game plan for the Indy Ultimate. It's a 5-mile run, 5-mile walk, 5-mile whatever we want through the city. When we're all said and done, we'll figure out what the game plan is after based on who's there, how many's there, and whatnot. So, but it's an entire weekend. So again, if you get here Friday, come to the retirement ceremony. Saturday morning, we're going to do the 5-mile run. Cool. Now, a lot of you have asked, some of my local folks here in Indianapolis have wondered, I do 2 workshops a week. You know, I do a Tuesday workshop and a Thursday workshop. A lot of you have asked, how does this impact my workshops? This has 0 impact to my workshop. So best I can tell, right now there's only 1 workshop late in July that I'm going to miss. Between now and then, I think I'm hitting all the others. But I can tell you right now, the coolest thing, both of my workshops are amazing people. They get it, right? And so when I told them, I let them both know in the last workshop, here's the game plan. Because I want to be transparent with them and say, hey, here's what I got going on. I know as a member, it's very difficult when your coach pops in and out of the meeting and isn't consistent. I know, that when I popped in for a workshop, I needed the coach to keep me motivated, keep me inspired. And weeks that the coach wasn't there and we had a substitute coach, I know that I was like, sometimes. So I talked with both of my workshops. I said, folks, here's what's going on. Here's the opportunity that I have. I promise you, if this all works out the way that I want it to, there will be very minimal impact to you in the workshops. And so both of my workshops have been extremely supportive. So thank you. Much appreciate that. So this week coming up, I'll be at both my workshops, the Tuesday Carmel and the Thursday in Plainfield. And then from there, we'll go, we'll play it week by week. But for the most part, I don't see me missing very many of them. So we've got that worked out. And that transition happens all the way to August. Lindsay says, best coach ever. So see, I tell you, that room is awesome. If you're within a 56-hour drive, you need to get to one of these workshops, either in Carmel or in Indianapolis. I tell you, they're awesome. If you live within 56 hours of Indianapolis driving, there's no excuse for you not to be in a workshop in Indianapolis. So anyway, Carmel and Plainfield. You can find those details on fatdag.com. Click on calendar. I try to keep that up to date. I will have some more time now to do a much better job of keeping that calendar up to date. So that's the deal with the workshops. Again, should be very, very, very minimal interruption for those of you who are local to Indianapolis and in my Tuesday and Thursday workshop. All right. So on that note, talking about workshops, this week, the week of the 22nd, right? If you go to your app and you click on Find a Studio, you will see, or if you go to www.weightwatchers.com, you go to www and click Find a Studio on the website, you will see a link. Every studio is having an open house session. I think every studio, participating studios, we'll say that. I don't know the exact verbiage, so don't quote me on it, but participating studios are hosting an open house. Open house is an opportunity for you to bring your friends, bring your family, bring your whatever, people who've looked at you and said, oh my God, you look amazing. It's your opportunity to say, hey, here's how I'm doing it. I've transitioned to wellness. I'm losing weight through wellness, through WW. I want you to experience it as well. So in Carmel, I will be at the Carmel open house and the Plainfield open house. So you can meet me there if you want to do that. You certainly can do that. So that's the deal. Get to your open house. Bring somebody, because what I can tell you, and I'll be honest with you, I may not have pushed as hard for this as an opportunity if I hadn't been in New York and just seen the vision and seen what's truly going on behind the scenes. And when you peel back the curtain, this organization is going places, and it's taking care of you as a member and me as a member. So I encourage you highly to jump on board, bring a friend, bring a family member to the open house, and get them to join this amazing community. So that's the open house. Two more updates. Podcast format. A lot of you, same thing, have asked, okay, what's going to be the format for the podcast going forward? The podcast going forward is going to continue to get better. As you know, when I started the podcast, I did it every single day, and then I still record the podcast every day, except for the days that I don't. Lately, the days that I don't certainly outnumber the days that I do, but the vision and the goal is to get back to a more consistent format. Here's why. When I started doing the podcast, if you go back to the early episodes, I don't know exactly where I said it, but one of the things I'm positive I would have said was, I do this because I understand the journey. I understand that you can leave your workshop, doesn't matter how amazing your coach is, but if you leave your workshop on a Monday afternoon, by about Wednesday, Thursday, your motivation is a little bit less than it was when you left the workshop. So then you have to struggle and find that motivation back. And then, as you know, when Monday comes back around, you have to re-motivate yourself. So it kind of goes like, you get some motivation and then you lose some and then you get it all back at the end. So the reason the podcast was founded was so that every day of the week, you can have a little bit of motivation going forward. Now, with 270 episodes, that makes it a little easier, but I know you want fresh content as well. So I have a couple plans for the podcast, and here's what they are. I want to start now that I'm going to have more free time. I'm going to start looking for inspirational people and guests to bring on the show. But what I don't want to change is the existing format of this show is for you, about you, and for you to get support. So that piece will not change. So continue to email in onair@fatdag.com, share your stories. Lisa and Heather, the producers, they will take your stories, they will craft them, put them in the script. That show format will continue. And then every once in a while, we'll get a guest on the show, someone hopefully his name that you recognize, and we'll go through that list of folks to kind of give you an additional element to work through. If you have the WhysAdvice app, I'll categorize them so you know this is a member show, this is a guest show, this is some other, whatever version I'm going to do, a fitness show. So you have the opportunity to find that. So what you can expect moving forward, realistically after August, but maybe we're going to test it in the next 7 or 8 weeks as well. But going forward, then that's going to be kind of how the podcast continues to grow. So thank you for being here tonight so I can let you know that, hey, everything is good. It's just a matter of me trying to get out of the Air Force so I can be more involved in this process. Cool. Let's see. Last two more studio updates. So as you know, right now I'm recording the studio in the middle of my living room. One of the things I want to work on is, recording the show earlier in the day. Once Janine and Megan go back to work, then it gives me the day to be home to record podcasts. So I'll record more consistently during the day. I'll pop on live at night to do more stuff like this. But the need for a studio down in this house, or either here or a remote studio, completely exists. I did put out a link on the GoFundMe site. If you go to fatdag.com/studio, you can see the details of what the actual drawings look like. You can see the design. It's a full studio with a fitness center because I want to bring in fitness guests and start talking about things that we can do in our homes that, we don't have to do these Navy SEAL cardio kickboxing works out. We just have to do something consistently. So I wanted to add a fitness facility onto the studio so that we could start doing some shows from a studio, from a gym, so that I can say, hey, here's the setting I would use on a treadmill. Here's how you would do dips. Here's how you do planks, or whatever the topic is. I want to be able to demonstrate that more so than just talking about it, and have that be another component to the show. Besides the member email, besides the on-air guests, we start talking about how to increase our fitness at any activity level that we have. So that's the update with the podcast. For those of you who made donations, thank you, thank you, thank you. For those of you who are getting ready to, thank you, thank you, thank you. For those who are considering it, thank you, thank you, thank you. And for the rest of you, thank you for just being here, right? We'll do that. Last update, and then I'll kind of turn it over to you, and I'll go through the list and look through whatever questions you have. But the last thing is, I asked a couple people, hey, what do you want to hear about tonight? And they said, I want to hear about your wellness. How are you doing, Mike? How are you doing? And I want to update that. Right, so as you know, hit goal, hit lifetime way back in 2016. Right, since then, my life has just gone crazy. When I hit goal in lifetime, my why at the time was to make sure that all I did was pass my fitness test. That was my strongest why. I wanted to be healthy, all that good stuff. But my true strong why was pass my fit test so I could continue to remain in the military. When I decided, I went to a conference at the Obesity Action Coalition shortly after making goal, and I ran into an amazing gal, Patty. Shout out to you if you're there and if you're listening. But I ran into an amazing gal, and we were talking about my desire to help other people in the military get their weight under control, pass their fitness test, be the healthiest they've ever been. And so she encouraged me at the time. She's like, Mike, if you're serious about making this change, you need to separate from the military, retire on your terms, so that you have the opportunity, the time to go and lend towards this in this direction. So I did. I left that conference with the decision in my head that I'm going to retire. And so here's what I probably haven't shared a lot of is when I retire from the military, I am retiring on the very first day possible. And the reason that is because I had planned on staying in for another 3 or 4 years from now. But what I recognize is that this is too valuable, and so what I was doing for the military was needed, but there are young people who can take my place in that realm. Right now, there isn't anyone who can take my place, and I say that flippantly, right? But there isn't anyone who can take my place for the passion that I have for solving this for us and for members of the military. So it was very important for me to retire from the military because there was someone there to replace me, and then take this on as my number one priority, my number one effort. I wasn't prepared for that. I wasn't prepared to get out of the military 3 years early. Our daughter, as you guys know this, Megan, right? She's going to be a senior in high school. My goal was to stay in the military until she graduated college. That was going to give us so we're completely giving up half my income at the time that my daughter's getting ready to go to college. I see the vision, I see the plan. We're going to be okay. But what I'm getting at is I'm getting out 3 years early because this becomes now my number one focus. So with all that, how that ties into wellness is my goal was to simply lose weight to pass the fitness test. When I got that monkey off my back, my goal changed, and my vision changed, and my why changed. And then freestyle changed, we've talked about more than once. And so yeah, I went through a period of going, okay, I'm trying to figure this life out. I've made a major career change. There's been a major change to the way I was eating. And so yeah, there was a period of time when I was just like, okay, I got to figure this out. But here's what I can tell you. As WW switched to wellness, I embraced that. I took to heart all of the mindset resets, the mindset tricks, the mindset hacks, or whatever you want to call them, where you really got to get through the point where you say, I'm healthy mentally. And what I can assure you and what I can promise you is mentally, I am stronger and healthier than I have ever been in my entire life. Ever. So that, and I'm focused, and I have a passion, and I have a vision. And so that does allow me, and let me back up, and I started intensifying my strength training. So as I've joked about more than once, I'm incredibly focused, incredibly locked in. I'm stronger than I've ever been. I got more muscle mass than I've ever been. I added some pizza back in there too as well. But even with all of that, mentally, I have never felt better. And so even going up to New York and spending a week with WW in New York City, what I learned from interacting with so many people in the brand is that once you solve the mental part of this journey, which I solve is a loose term, but I believe right now I have a full grasp of mentally winning this battle. So once I saw the folks there who understand that and are teaching that and empowering us to learn that, then yeah, it clicked again for me. Like, yeah, I'm totally on the right path. So one of the things I'm looking forward to, I took last week off with Janine. Janine's a school teacher, right? So she took or she not took, but she got the summer off. We spent last week getting up in the morning, going for a walk a couple mornings in a row. And so our plan now is to get up every morning. She's home for the rest of the summer. For her and I to go walk together, which is very good for us mentally. So that is that's empowering. And so now eating lunches at home, eating dinners at home, eating breakfast at home. So I'm now looking forward to getting back into, okay, how can I clean up my eating just a little bit? A lot of stress has left my plate as I start separating from the military. Most of my out processing is done. Most of my appointments are done. So that stress is gone. So now I truly am able to take the mental victory that I feel very confident with, combine that to an additional focus into the food side of it, and then continue to just live life happily ever after. So that's the update on there. So, whew. Anyway, a lot of rambling, and you know me, that's what I do. But so Michelle is saying, you are helping us. Will you continue working with the military who need your help? Yeah, Michelle. So operationfatdag.org. If you go to operationfatdag.org, our vision and our goal with that still has not changed. Our vision and our goal is if you are an active duty member currently serving in the military, sorry, not active duty. If you are an active member of the military, Guard or Reserve, mean you're actively getting paid, you're carrying an actual CAC card. If you are an active member of the military and you are struggling with your fitness and wellness and you would like some help, operationfatdag.org is the resource. So yeah, that is never that's my vision. That is what initially prompted me to get out, and that's what I was working on when I got this opportunity to work with WW for a little bit. And so now I'm doing both and just kind of trying to figure them both out at the same time as I learn from the folks in WW what the brand is all about and what we're going through. So yeah, Michelle will continue to absolutely help the military. That's my number one passion. A couple stats you need to know about that lane. Here's where that vision and passion comes from. Roughly, the DoD, Department of Defense, will admit that 7.8% of the military, active duty alone, they'll say 7.8% of the active duty has a BMI greater than 30. And so, as we know, BMI is not the end-all to tell-all, but the DoD admits that 7.8% are overweight with a BMI of over 30. That does not account for the 800,000 Guard and Reserve members. My suspicion, I haven't found the data yet, but I'm going to start looking for it. My suspicion is that if 7.8% of the active duty force, which is 1.2 million folks, if 7.8% of active duty folks who live on a base, who have access to a gym, who have access to nutritionists, if 7.8% of them have a BMI greater than 30, then in the Guard and Reserve component, it's got to be closer to 20%. So I want to reach those folks at 800,000 people simply cannot join the military because they're overweight. That's another segment of who I want to reach out and help. So game plan there is to take care of both. So, all right, looks like I think we're good. All right, so that's the game plan there. So yeah, so Michelle, for sure, going to do that. Second. So thanks for asking. Probably not, to be brutally honest. However, I have a game plan to get to Toronto this year. So still going to commit to Toronto, but it's this week. But if you're in Toronto and or New Hampshire, good chance those are going to get rescheduled because of the internship at WW. I can't. I'm looking to see if the internet has come back up or not. You're listening to the podcast. Hopefully you got that caught up. So Karen DC at all about program changes or not. So that was not a conversation I had the opportunity to have. So with my internet today, my internet actually went down earlier. I know I see all your comments here. Oh man. Wrap up the live show recording. Let me. So those of you on the recording, thank you for being how many loops? Is it still? I think we're still frozen. Hi Tiffany. Good evening to you.